Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. Let's go ahead and get right into this. As many have done over the past few years, I went back to the beginning. Rewatched the videos, reread the discovery, looked at photos, you name it, just dug right back into it. Trying to study the case more as a whole with a fresh perspective, as opposed to just picking apart different theories. Some things began to really stand out that previously seemed to be merely rambling or filler conversation. This took place in the original videos that you're seeing now, as well as in police interviews. So we'll definitely look at that a little bit more in detail. There have always been things that didn't add up or make sense in this case, and motive, for one, didn't make sense to me at all. This was not a case like Lacey and Scott Peterson, where Scott was a new father, going to be a new father. This is the case of a father with two children who he has been very involved with, very engaged with, and from everyone's opinion, just a great father and a great husband. So to abruptly end their lives over an affair that allegedly was only 6 weeks long, I'm just not buying that narrative. So I began looking closer to the victims, and sometimes what we miss is right in front of our faces. It was the original video that sparked the lead. Now, before I play it, let me be very clear. It is not my opinion that Shanann or her family were involved at all. But let's listen.
Any friends she would be hanging out with? I guess her parents are out of state.
Across country, North Carolina.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's not happening.
Did you catch that? Now let's put these pieces together and you tell me what you think. Again, let me just state for a while that I questioned and did not agree with the family's protectiveness over Shanann's reputation. As a parent, it is a natural instinct, and I can only imagine it must have been an overdrive when you suffer such a tragic loss as the ours. It's also important to remember it's not our place to judge how someone grieves, but there is a grieving process and there are stages of grief that one can see unfolding within the family. There were some behaviors that, in my opinion, came out from her family that raised a lot of questions, and while I understand as investigators and true crime enthusiasts, we want answers. We also have to respect and remember that private family matters that are not openly discussed are not always indicative of any type of guilt. That being said, Shanann was described by her peers as an advocate and someone who aimed to make the world a more positive place. No doubt, she poured her life into those around her. You can't help but see it and feel it when you watch the videos of her at home. Per her own Facebook post, she acknowledged the evil in this world and her duties as a mother to protect and nurture her girls. Some may argue her methods, however, there isn't a single parent on this earth who parents exactly the same way. Even amongst your own children, how you parent the first one is not always identical to how you parent the second and third and so on. Protecting our children is instinctive. This is very easily explained when a nursing mother is in one room and her milk lets down and the baby's stirring around in the next room. It's just an instinct. As a mother myself, this is the part of the case that has baffled me until now. Shanann previously endured a divorce prior to having children. She mentions in her own voice with her own Facebook videos just how much she had to work to rebuild what she lost, not only materialistically, but also from herself. Anyone who has ever had to go through this struggle before knows that you learn from those hard lessons. Having been a young divorced woman with children and a victim personally of a parent-child abduction during the process, family and relocation played a vital role in the decisions that followed. No doubt, Shanann had done her own research on the best approach and decision for their family. We will hear more on this later on in a police interview. There's also text messages to show that she was troubleshooting and trying to figure out what was best for their family. She was still trying to figure out how, given the financial state they were in, what was going on. She was not oblivious to the fact that they had issues within their marriage. She was trying to figure out the best approach. So let's give the woman some credit, okay? She wasn't ready to give up on her marriage. But in my opinion, she surely wasn't going into these tough decisions blindly. I think it's also important to point out that in this video where we see Shanann baking at home, it's been pointed out previously in some other creators' videos as well, and they go a little more into detail with it than I will, but she's making this video at home in her element, and as she is talking to friends and interacting, she notices that mean faces start popping up. And if you just take a moment and watch, you can see her demeanor completely shifts. And it begs the question that, given what we know about the mistress, when she searched Shanann, when she searched Chris, it would not surprise me if Shanann did not start putting the pieces together early on. Whether she wanted to accept it or not, I don't believe that she was naive enough to think that there wasn't something to this. The look on her face, the change in her demeanor, something did not sit right with her. Anyone who has ever gone through their husband or wife having an affair, cheating, with the infidelity, there's like a sixth sense in your gut that something is off. And while it may not have been enough to warrant an immediate divorce or immediate fight or immediate accusations, the seeds were starting to be planted, in my opinion. So let's listen and just watch her demeanor and let me know what you think.
What's the mean faces for? That's awesome, Elaine. Chris can't cook. I'm trying to teach him how to cook. Just the basic things. But we're working on that still. I'm gonna go ahead and make this real quick.
You don't reach milestone anniversaries by giving up the first time things get difficult. Reconciliation is a real thing and does happen successfully in some cases. Not all of them, and it can be a dangerous state of vulnerability when divorce is imminent. Research and experience began to highlight these key factors, and a hidden motive, in my opinion, was revealed. It was more solidified once I heard Shanann's father, Frank Rusek's interview with police. Let's listen.
But I feel that also Chris may have thought that if something did happen just to Shanann, he knew it would happen to him, but maybe he knew that, hey, no, these kids are not going to her parents. So these things run through my head, in thinking of what maybe he was thinking of,
Mm-hmm.
Do I believe Chris Watts and Shanann had an emotional conversation? Yes, I do. Do I believe it occurred the morning they went missing? No, not at all. Do I believe Chris Watts saw, quote-unquote, mascara running down her face, as he stated in his prison interview? Yes. Do I believe it was the morning they went missing? Absolutely not. You see, we've been given this picture of protection for this family, and it's become a celebrity story, if you will, and we fail to remember that they're humans. They were humans, and dealt with very real problems. It's my opinion that trouble had been building and begins to break through via social media with Shanann's earlier posts dating back to March and April. I will do a more detailed timeline of the affair in a separate video, but for this video, let's focus on the one emerging motive. Shanann knew from being previously married and divorced that with children involved, it would look a lot different should divorce occur. This is openly evident in the interview with an attorney that Shanann had at a local restaurant sometime in March or April of 2018. This is located in the discovery, however, the audio interview gives us the unedited version, rather the police's narrative note. In the beginning, he describes what table they were sitting at, he describes her and her friend's attire, then goes into the subject matter they ended up discussing. Let's listen as he describes this part of the conversation and specifically what questions she had for him. It should be noted that additionally, Kessinger provided typed recollection of her interviews found on page 944 of the discovery, as seen here. She mentions Chris stating he had not been intimate with Shanann since about March or April, then later went on to say that the last time they were intimate was in May. As much as I don't want to give the woman some credit, it appears to line up with this encounter with the attorney. Listen to the details as this attorney shares Shanann's concerns during this time in her life.
So I'm telling her about how I got divorced here. Ex-wife moved with 3 kids to Tennessee. How I fought for the kids and how I spent so much money fighting for the kids. In the end, she moved with the kids, and I see my girls, but it's a burden going back and forth. And then I believe it's Shanann who said to me that I want to say it was Shanann or her friend. I want to swear that it's Shanann, but I'm not 100% sure. It was Shanann. That she had gotten divorced before, is what she said. She said I said, were there any kids in that marriage? And she said, no, there were no kids. She said, I think the guy is an attorney too, her ex-husband. She said, what? Her ex-husband
is what?
Is an attorney.
Okay.
She said she brought him up. I said, what do you mean by that? She said, while she worked and busted her tail, he was going to school. And then I said, so what happened with the divorce? She said, well, the lawyer in the divorce, in her view, in Shannon's view, made out with so much money. And I said, well, that's kind of how it works. I mean, nobody wins. The lawyers are the ones that are going to get paid. And then she said, well, so tell me more about your divorce with the girls, involving the girls. And I said, well, that's it. She ended up moving to Tennessee. And she's asking me, she's like, what's the law in Colorado when a divorce happens? And I said, well, in Colorado we have something called it's called the Spammer Doctrine. And I told her about it. The Spammer Doctrine it says a judge cannot tell you or the woman to stay in Colorado. The judge has no power to tell you where to live. What the judge can do, though, is say, you get to keep the kids. Or you get to keep the kids. But the judge cannot say, you have to stay here. We're going to give you custody of the kids, but then you have to stay here. So she says, so let's, for example, if somebody gets divorced, they can move away with the kids. I said, well, that's exactly what happened to me. I said, do you have kids? She said, yes, 2 girls. I said, okay, how old are they? She told me their ages. I think she said it was, I don't remember. Maybe one was close to 5. I don't remember. 2? I don't know. But it was 2 girls. And I said, are you thinking about a divorce? I mean, is that why you're asking me this? And her friend kind of smiled. Shanann smiled. But I did not get an answer to that question.
Have a good weekend.
And so I kind of let that kind of died away. We ate our food. We finished eating. We were the last, I remember this very well, we were the last set of customers. Oh, I forgot to tell you, sorry. Another party joined us at that table. A man and a woman. But the woman was older than the man, and when I asked what the relationship was, it was mother and son. Mother was visiting from Minnesota, where son used to live with mother. And son lives here now. Mother was visiting from Minnesota, and we're talking about how cold Minnesota can be.
Yeah.
So I remember this very distinctly. We were the last people to leave the restaurant. Matter of fact, the waiter kept coming back over and saying, "You guys need boxes, need boxes." Kind of like saying, "Hey,
Yeah, beat it.
you gotta go." Yeah. So
Do you remember what time you got to the restaurant?
I know they stopped sitting people at 8:45.
Okay.
We had to have gotten there about 8:30.
Okay.
They closed at 9:30, I think, on the weekends. And the guy was chasing us out at like 10 minutes to 10, like 9:50. We were still there.
Okay.
So when we got up, Shanann came to me again. My wife is talking to the mother and son from Minnesota and Shannon's friend. She comes to me again and says, "Is that really the law in Colorado, that it's possible that the court can give the child to the man?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "What screwed me over was that I'm an attorney. Attorneys work long hours. Judges know that. A reasonable judge is not going to say, I'm going to take the kids from a woman that doesn't have a job, that's home full time, and give it to the guy, no matter how well-meaning that guy is." What the court can do, though, is, as they did for me, give me all the breaks, financial breaks, access to the kids, all that stuff. But ultimately, they'll give it to the woman. I said, but I have seen cases where the guy's not a lawyer. The guy works, 30 hours a week, and you tell the court, "I'm trying to move the kids to North Carolina." The court could tell you, "Look, North Carolina is so far that it could destroy the relationship between father and children. You can go if you want. Kids go to daddy. They stay here." And so she's like, "Really?" I said, yeah. I said, that's the law. It's called the Spammer Doctrine. I said, "Look it up." I said, "But I've seen cases where because of that, the mother says, okay, I'm not moving away anymore. I'm going to stay. I'm not going to go." Because they see that the court is going to give the children to the dad. And then I said, I said, I don't do family law, but I know people who are really good family law attorneys. If you need one, just let me know, And she asked for my information. I didn't have a card at the time, so I just gave her my cell phone number. I said, if you ever need anything, give me a call. She also asked me, it had to do with that first divorce that she had. She said, I don't remember. It had to do with that first divorce though.
Okay.
And so when we went outside, and she said to me again, she said, why is divorce really a messy process? Is family law really a messy place? And I said, I always tell people, whatever you can do, I know now, my wife that I'm with now, unless I see a guy texting her on her phone or something, whatever the difference is between us, we're gonna work it out. Yeah, because it's a messy process. And she said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "You've been through it." She said, "Yes, but I went through it without children." I said, "Okay, yeah, without children, no problem. It's just wash your hands clean, and as long as you're not a millionaire who's making a lot of money, your average Joe who makes regular money, just cut yourself loose and get out of it. But if you have kids, it's a messy process." And she said, "Okay." That's all I remember. I was watching, so I record certain programs like Nightline. You're gonna laugh at this, but like Judge Mathis and the other crazy lady, Judge Judy. Right. So sometimes I would record them over 3 weeks. It's too much. I'm not gonna sit there and watch. I'll just delete. Or sometimes I'll press play, listen to what it's gonna cover for like 2 minutes. If I don't like it, I'll delete it. one of those episodes, I didn't even know anything. I had heard that some guy had killed his wife in Colorado. Whatever. Happens every day. My wife's upstairs. I'm downstairs. I press play on the DVR. I don't know. I think somewhere. I was like, no, think. He bat you. She's like, maybe is this the woman that you were talking to? Did he bat you? And I'm screaming, yes, that's her. My wife doesn't remember as much as I do. But I remember, I talked to her. I had told her at the time, when we were talking that day, I said, you can feel free to ask me anything you want to ask me personally, but you have to understand, it's not going to be privileged because your friend's here. If it's just me and you one-on-one, I will take that as attorney-client privilege. It's your privilege. You own it. I told her that. Like, she said, really? I said, yeah. She said, well, I've talked to lawyers before, and I just talk. And I said, and they gave my stuff away. And I said, no. You can grieve those guys. You can take them to the Supreme Court and have them punished for that. I said, it's your privilege. I said, but we can't. Anything I tell you here is open. And she said, well, this is one of my best friends ever, so you can feel free to say whatever you want to say. So that's why I'm able to talk about it. It's not privilege.
Sure.
But that's, to me, what I walked away from that day was just, to me, personally, that woman really wanted to ask me some deeper questions about divorce. She couldn't do it where she was. I didn't think anything of it. I meet people all the time who say, you're a lawyer, can I pick your brain? Happens 3-4 times a week.
Yeah, sure.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah, I get that a lot
but when
too.
I saw the news, I'm going, I don't know what happened. A woman talked to me about divorce though. And she seemed very curious about Colorado law on divorce that involves children.
What was her demeanor like during dinner? Was she happy? Were they laughing?
Very sweet lady. She told me this too. Oh yeah, she told me that she had some type of medical condition. That when she had one of the babies, I think first or second one, she had to be on bed rest for a long time because she had some kind of medical. Now I asked my wife about that. I said, do you remember what it was? And my wife said that she doesn't remember, but to her, she thinks it was lupus. That's what my wife said. I don't remember what it was. I just know she told me about that medical condition. And she even told me what pill she was taking for it. And I remember telling my wife, like, yeah, it's a little bit TMI. How would you tell anybody what I take for? And my wife was like, most people talk. Most Americans talk. Yeah. They're very open. But I remember that. Yeah.
Did you see him get into a car?
No, and it is why we parked. So that mall, it's the lock of the drawer. You can park right in front of the restaurant, as we did last night and that same day, or you could park like 2 streets away.
North 40. Yeah.
And we parked in the front.
Okay.
And we got in the car. I was driving that day. Oh, I will have an exact date for it. And I'll tell you why. I was driving. So my wife drives a Range Rover. Her Range Rover went in for service at the Range Rover dealership in Flatirons, and they gave her a loaner, a Discovery loaner. That's what I was driving that day.
Oh, okay.
So that.
Okay, yeah, if you could dig that up.
That would give us.
Send me an email.
Exactly.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
I was driving a Discovery, Range Rover Discovery, a gray one, which was parked right in front of the restaurant. So I didn't see them get into a car.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
All right, and just to confirm, it's just those two, no kids, no husbands?
No kids, no
people
husbands,
with them,
no.
anything like that?
No, I remember, I don't know if I asked her where the kids were. And if she said they were either with the grandparents or with the husband. I don't remember her answer to that question. Okay. But I remember asking her that. Her friend, did her friend have kids? I don't think her friend had kids. And I remember Shanann saying, I asked if they were going to have more kids. And I think she said, I hope I'm not getting confused. Her friend may have said this, or she may have said it. Somebody had said that the husband wanted a boy, and so she can't guarantee that they won't have another one. But I couldn't tell you if it was Shanann that said that or her friend said that. But I could swear her friend said she had no kids. Okay. So that had to have come from Shanann. But I remember because I told her, I said, well, if you went through such a pain for one of those pregnancies, or would you have another one? She said, yeah, I think he wants a boy then. So we might have that number 3. It's Shanann. Okay. I think it's Shanann. Yeah, but I don't remember which child put her on significant bed rest. If it was the first or second one. Couldn't tell you that. One of them did though. I remember that.
Any other medical conditions that she talked about that you remember?
No. I still don't remember the exact condition. My wife thinks it was lupus. I don't know. Lupus to me, all I know about lupus is, so I'm from Nigeria. There's a very popular singer, British singer called Seal. He was born and raised in Nigeria. He had lupus.
Oh,
and
okay.
He was married to, maybe he's still married to Heidi Klum.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I think they're divorced now. I think
you're right.
Yeah, but that's him.
Yeah, okay.
That guy that's how I heard about lupus.
Yes.
I'd never heard the word again until my wife told me about it. And I said to my wife, I remember saying to her, I said, well, lupus to me, with Seal, it scarred his face. And my wife said, it doesn't have to scar your face. It has something to do with you.
Yeah, I think it's an autoimmune.
That's what she said.
You know. I don't know about it either.
Exactly. So I said, oh, okay. But she definitely told us about that condition. Yeah.
What about alcohol? Did she drink any alcohol, you remember?
God. I don't know. I know the guy, the son with the woman from Minnesota, I know they drank. I know they ordered a drink. We didn't order a drink. Those guys they squirt sake in a plastic bottle.
Uh-huh.
I know I had it. Don't know if she had it though.
Okay.
Don't know. I know we didn't order drinks.
Okay. Yeah, there's no wine glass you remember on the table or anything like that.
One of them may have ordered a drink. One. A friend, her. I don't think I saw her drinking though. I don't know. Yeah. I know I didn't drink that day. I typically don't drink when I go to that place. One, it's expensive.
Yeah.
And two, you can just get it from the sake that they spray in your mouth.
Yeah, that's right.
And you can actually ask for more. You can say, hey, try it, do it again.
Yeah, fill her up.
Exactly. So I just remember walking away from that conversation going, that woman wanted to tell me more about it. She wanted to ask me more about divorce. She couldn't do it. For whatever reason. It was late.
Obviously it was on her mind.
It was definitely, I as a litigator, I get half of my paycheck comes from being able to read witnesses. I could tell. She had those thoughts.
Rewatching this video felt like reliving my own marriage counseling all over again. I mentioned therapy because there's a little white book that is used by some marriage counselors by Dr. Ed Wheat called How to Save Your Marriage Alone. It's a tool therapists give to help those who are choosing their marriage even when their spouse is either caught in an emotional or physical affair. Yet it aims to reconcile. It acts as a guide to essentially fight like hell for your marriage, but if it doesn't work, then you at least know you did everything in your power to save the marriage. I'll admit, in my case, it helped tremendously as far as the loss of the marriage, but now more than ever, I see how dangerous this approach can be without being honest with your peers or your family. You live and learn if you're lucky. Let's listen to Shanann. Are you able to get the same message? It's my opinion that Shanann may have had a hunch that there was someone else, though I'm not certain she knew who she was. In this video, listen to the tone of Shanann's voice, to the message. Sure, there are some promotional bits sandwiching the real reason for this video. She knew someone had been watching her videos, but did she put it together with the name? She's intentional in her cooking video following the one with the angry faces to put the flowers that Chris bought her in plain sight. In this video, it's a little long but worth the content. She is more direct with her audience. In my opinion, it was directed at his mistress in Shanann's attempt to tell the other woman to back off. That she was there to stay. She was proud of her husband. She was willing to fight for her family, and it didn't matter who it bothered or how it needed to happen. She was going to be there. She was number one.
I love it. I love the time freedom at the end of the day. So I'm kind of rambling. I don't even know if I'm making any sense at all. But that right there is why I will continue what I do. I will continue fighting. I will continue not letting the haters get in my way. I will continue not letting people discourage me. I will continue not letting people judge me or what I do. I will continue not letting people influence my decisions on what I do in life. I will continue fighting for my children, for my husband, for myself. And nobody's going to hold me back from my future, my kids' future. No one's going to tell me what's the right way of living life, and no one's going to tell me what's the what I should and shouldn't do for a job. Like, if I'm bringing in income and I'm taking care of my family, I'm being a better mom than I've ever been because I am here. And I don't discourage anyone who does go into work. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying do what you love and be a badass at it. Excuse my French. If you're on here and your kids are watching, I'm sorry. My kids didn't hear me, so good thing. But you just gotta do it. Like, you have to be strong. You have to be confident. You have to be you know, at the end of the day.
What are your thoughts? Was this the moment on the couch where he said he wanted another baby? Remember, this video was recorded on May 5th, or at least posted to Facebook on May 5th. And roughly 6 weeks later, we see the announcements on video. I do believe Chris is confessing truths, but they are all out of context to help lessen the hammer dropping on him or anyone else involved. Chris states in a prison interview that by the time Shanann videoed the announcement, he was already talking to Nicole Kessinger. Was this the first moment when Chris, as he says, God gave him several chances to get out, to stop? His and her reaction to him, while it's small, is important. Was this the first uncomfortable cover-up? It's my opinion this conversation set in motion the reality that a choice to stay or leave would have to be made, both by Shanann and Chris. He had to choose his family or NK. There is a mountain of evidence of the emotional war that had been waged, and both were trying to figure out their next move. Listen closely to their reactions, including Shanann's. Is this really the sound of someone who's excited? What are your thoughts?
We did it again. I like that shirt. Really?
Really.
That's awesome. So pink means...
That's just the test.
I know. It just says the pink is going to be girls.
I don't know. Just the test.
That's awesome. Guess when you want to, it happens.
Let's review. May 5th is the day the purple shirt video is posted, following this post accented with the "She's Not Afraid" quote. Also on May 5th, Shanann posted a photo of her and Chris, both looking emotionally exhausted, but they're smiling. Shanann continues to post on this day quotes that could easily be encouraging to someone feeling a little slighted. Could this be the day that they were on the couch, crying tears with mascara, discussing having another baby? To quote-unquote fix what was broken in their marriage. Later, on May 8th, is one of the first posts where Shanann ponders the thought of having 3 kids. Now, this next post is May 9th, and it specifically quotes someone Shanann followed on Facebook, taking note of the effects MLMs have or are often alleged to have on a person or a family. It's my opinion at this point she is feeling the need to defend what she does for a job, as she did in the previous video. It happens a lot with MLMs, but particularly it's noticeable when you listen to Kessinger's interviews. May 15th, another post about having another baby. May 20th is an interesting day of posts. Kessinger gave the impression that fitness was where she and Chris connected, and that he was clueless about macros in a fitness app. More on this in part 2. This post clearly shows that Shanann was supportive of eating clean, she cooked at home, enjoyed grilling out with him, and quote-unquote meal prepping was a thing in their home, and she joined a Facebook fitness group. Then, by June 6th, she's joking about not being a quote-unquote beast like before. Doesn't this happen to us all at some point, especially during a first trimester of pregnancy? Sorry, fellas, I can only speak for us mamas, but it's intense. Interesting on this June 10th post, Shanann tags her mother, father, and brother, but doesn't tag Chris. I would be curious to have seen if Chris was originally tagged in this post, or if she told her family prior to telling Chris. These are family decisions and frankly none of our business, but it would be very interesting to know if this was the post that triggered the email between Kessinger and Chris through work emails. By June 11th, the secret was out. They were expecting again. This takes us back to the announcement video. See why I said her response was just as important to take note of? It's my opinion that video was either staged, or when she didn't get an excited response, the questions started flying. Wouldn't it with you? After all, it was his idea to have another baby, and he reacted like that. No, sir. This mama would have had some questions. Especially when you compare his reaction to baby Nico to his reaction when he found out that they were expecting Cece. That is like night and day. The very next day, Shanann is looking up houses in North Carolina. Is this a coincidence? Shanann had to choose to do this on her own or work it out. There's evidence she was eager to give it everything she had one more time. Books, letters, texts with friends. There's evidence Kessinger didn't take too well to being called second fiddle. And here, in my opinion, is where the two motives emerge. We discussed the idea of potentially moving back to North Carolina, as mentioned by Chris in the body cam footage, her father in his interview with police, internet searches for homes in North Carolina, networking in North Carolina during the summer, family support, and even Ronnie mentions it in his police interview. We will discuss an additional motive and how these two overlap in the next video. This is the part where if Shanann's life were a roller coaster, she would be at the top, taking it all in, high above everything, feeling a little uneasy, and about to free fall into the most horrifying ride of her life until the very end.